G'day everyone, Matt Hunt here from CrossLife. Just want to do a couple of minutes with you for those who didn't get to our AGM last week. Just to update the decisions that were made and the impact that has on all of us as being part of the CrossLife Church family. Let me just share the screen with you so you can see what went on the night of the 21st of November. You can see what we did is we had four decisions, appointing church elders, empowering the elders recommendation team to keep searching for elders, and a trial for a campus spiritual oversight for the next 2 years, and then affirming our finance plan for 2024. The two elders we did appoint was Tim Phillips and Jude Morris. They were part of our current elders, and they're remaining on, and they were both supported very strongly to continue as elders in the church. But that was all we had. There's no elders at Helensvale or at Southport. And so we also passed these two resolutions. Firstly, that the elders recommendation team of myself, Graham Denner, Verna Goldthorpe, and Anthony Brumby, and we may get someone in from Upper Coomera as well, would continue to search for elders. And we'll do another process of church nomination in the new year. We have done this before 2 years ago, so there is a precedent, and I encourage you strongly to pray over summer, to think about it, and to put names up through the nomination process to consider. We had nominations, and those who were approached were unable to do it at this time. So let's keep praying and looking and see who the Lord might have for us. The second resolution, or the third one on the night, is setting aside a group for campus spiritual oversight. Now, this was passed quite strongly as well. That's a group of people to work alongside the campus pastor in spiritual oversight of the campus. It sort of matches the elders in one way. They're not elders, but they're doing that work, men and women, with the campus pastor in the same way the CLT works along the board. So that's a great step forward. We're going to trial it for 2 years, as the resolution says, and then report back in 2 years on the value of that group. Information of how they will be identified, that we won't be voted on. They'll be like a CLT. They'll be recognised, and you'll see the ones that we're talking to at the beginning of 2024. We also looked at our finances for September 20 to the end of September 2023. That was the only figures we had up to date. And the big message here, basically, as you can see, is that we are at 90% of our offerings, which leaves a gap of about $49,000 in deficit. So I really want to continue to pray. We've been saying to people over the last couple of months, if you're able to increase your offering on a one-off basis to cover that deficit, that will minimise the amount of money we've had to take out of our rainy day funds, you could say, to make up that deficit. So we really want to pray that we all, as a family, would think about, Lord, how do we get that met? The gap in the profit and loss of the church is nearly purely through the offering loss or the offering shortfall. We also talked about our debt. And the current debt, the big debt that's talked about, is $17,711,464. But that was 18 million last year. So nearly 300,000 of principal has been paid off in the last 12 months. But some encouraging points we shared last Tuesday night about our discussions with QB and Baplink about our fund, about our loan and how we manage it. Here are some of the things that we shared. The interest rate will be 5.75% up until today, and then it will shift to 6.05% from the 1st of December, which is about 1.3% below the Baplink variable rate. This is a great outcome for us. The difference will be set aside, and then when it comes back down again, which interest rates may well do in the next 6 to 12 months, if it goes below our rate, then whatever we make up goes against that liability. So it's working a little bit like a fixed interest rate, but it's not quite that. So that's what we're doing with our interest rates. In terms of paying down principal, we have made some intentional strategies about that, and we'll share more about that in the new year. Out of our offset account, we're going to pay down some of that offset, which gets it below the 17,305,000, which you can see there is the amount that they've approved that we can have. We're going to be below that once we pay out of our offset account. We've already paid some principal off in the last 12 months. We'll continue to do so over the next 12 months. We're committed to doing something with the lakeside property, selling it and accessing that. We don't need two properties at Upper Coomera. So we're looking at that, and we're looking to pay down principal and other strategies that we'll talk about next year. Some other encouraging news: the whole process with Baplink was very, very positive. You can see the times 10,000 there. That's an addition from a Baplink staff member. It was a very positive experience, but it's very encouraging for us as we move ahead over the next little period. Our loan now is like a principal and interest loan over 25 years. We're hoping to get it paid before 25 years, but we also have review periods to review how we go every 6 months. We'll be paying interest only until June 2025, which is also when we want to move the sale of Lakeside by then as well. 3 things to remember that we shared from last year: that we own more than we owe. The trend is being managed and new things take time to grow. I shared this last year. Well, all 3 of them are still the case. In fact, as I said, we've paid $300,000 off the principal, so we own more than we owe this year than last year. The budget for CrossLife property is in surplus after non-cash depreciation for next year. That's a big turnaround, and it continues to move in the right direction. And new things take time to grow. Our tenancies are now full. People are coming along. Our income is slowly increasing with other different ways that CPL is doing its work. So we can see that what God is doing is unfolding slowly but intentionally in the direction forward for us. We shared in last year, how can we get this debt lower? There were 3 key things we were looking at. How do we increase our income? How do we decrease our cost of money? And how do we pay off our principal? Well, as you can see, we've started moving in those 3 directions in 2023. The increased casual hire and increased rents under CPI have increased the income at CPL. The lower interest rate towards the end of 2023 with the new arrangement with Baplink, and it will lower again in 2024, at least against the variable rate, and certainly lower than what we were paying this time a year ago. And looking at different ways we can pay our principal in terms of potentially selling Lakeside, using our offset account to pay down principal. And the great news we heard, Kingdom offset accounts at Baplink are back on track, which means you can put some money at Baplink and the interest can be offset against the church loan if you'd like to give in that particular way without giving away your capital. So there's some great ways, and we'll continue to look forward to how we can be doing those 3 things. So we prayed together about these things as a group. We prayed a number of times during the night. We spoke about some other things as well. It's a great time. We'll be looking at our AGM in 12 months' time as well. But we also talked about our ministry finance plan, which was passed overwhelmingly for 2024. Let me just share some of the particulars of that, particularly for us as we look at how it impacts us and our giving for next year. What's new in the finance plan includes there's some resources cut for Southport. So Southport's able to repay the loan with Baplink. That's a separate loan to our overall loan that we agreed to do back in the church meeting in October. So the Southport redevelopment can be completed. There's also cuts in online subscriptions and licenses to save us some money, which is a good step in the right direction. We have increased our wages as per award and the QB stipend, so we continue to look after our staff that way. We've had to cut our digital officer position, which is disappointing. Tristan has done a fantastic work for the last 2 years, and we're looking to do something with that still as time unfolds. We've also had to cut a day of support for Pam's position. She'll continue to do it, but we've had to cut a day of support for that and hoping to reinstate that if we can as well. CPI increases on other expenditure, including the service level agreement with CrossLife Property. CrossLife Property manage all the church's finances. They manage the properties. They provide some other services to the church in terms of human resources and workplace health and safety. So we pay them something for that. And that whatever we pay CPL helps pay down the loan. That's the big story with that. There's also increased rental for the well from the Upper Coomera campus. It's now paying the full amount it should, which also helps pay down the loan as well. And there's a slight increase of income, offering income, as we begin this evening gathering in the new year, mostly for once a fortnight over the year. But what's the impact on the offering at each of our campuses? Well, at Helensvale, the current weekly offering at the end, the 12th of November, was about 6,855. The target is 7,350, which is an increase of $494 per week on current giving. What does that mean? Well, there's about 140 units and individuals, couples, families at Helensvale. If you divide the $495 by that amount, it's about $3.54 each per week, each group. Plus, hopefully it will grow as Helensvale has grown over the last 12 months. It will help in that respect. So there's one thing to aim at, 1 cup of coffee a week to increase our giving to see this target met. These targets are, at least for Southport and for Helensvale, are cut back from the targets this year, which is why we made the cuts in some of our expenditure. Upper Coomera, The current giving at the end of November, at the 12th of November, is $4,271. The target is $4,578, which is an increase of $306 a week. There's about 115 families, individuals, and couples at Upper Coomera. That would be an increase of about $2.60 each. Now, Upper Coomera is giving above its target. It's grown significantly this year. We expect that growth to continue. And we'd ask you to pray seriously about seeing this increased target met to achieve these new goals and continue what we're doing. At Southport, the current giving at the 12th of November is $4,357 a week. The goal for next year is $4,683 a week. That's an increase of $325 a week. There's about 100 giving units or individuals, families, and couples at Southport. That's a growth, a similar amount to Helensvale, $3.20 or so. Like we say, it's about a cup of coffee a week if we can all of us can increase our giving that amount. And not all of us can do that. Some can't do it, some can do more. If it works out on average that amount, then we're going to see our target met and be able to continue to go forward. So that was what we covered in our AGM. Please continue to pray for the work of God through CrossLife. Thank you for your contribution. Pray about our giving, not only up to the end of this year with that deficit, but also particularly for next year with our new targets from the 1st of January. If you give electronically like I do, please make sure you make that change to electronic giving about your electronic deposit to reflect your new giving from the 1st of January. It's fantastic that we can meet together as a church regularly and support the work of God and what we're doing. We talked about being God-centered, our community, and our multiplication. Also at the AGM, there's lots of great things God is doing in and through CrossLife, and I know it's going to continue, and I pray that you can be part of it. God bless. Thank you so much.